First of all, I would like to welcome everybody in this panel discussion, and we are going to talk about the future of work. I think everybody is interested in that, and there is a lot of discussion going on about what is going to happen because of AI. So, we are going to start with the first question. I think everybody is interested who is sitting here in the panel discussion. You have heard about me, so you know who I am. But I would like to open the conversation for you guys, and because we have limited time, I would like you to limit yourself to 1 minute and say something about yourself that is you think that the audience should know about you. Okay? Please go ahead.
Okay, so I start. I teach in the university for more than 25 years. I teach elective courses about advanced topics in software development. And the one thing you might be surprised knowing is that I'm autodidact when it comes to computer science. My background in academia is completely different. It's accounting, economics, and business management. I don't have a degree in computer science. Maybe I took a course or two, but what I know is a result of self-learning. And this is what I do for my living, mainly, teaching in academia advanced topics, lecture courses last year in computer science. So that's it.
Thank you.
Well, I recognize some faces from yesterday's keynote that I gave, so some of you already know. I'm Andreas, I'm CEO of the Other Group. We're a global data expertise company, so we deploy our experts on a lot of technical projects all over the world. Just like you, Haim, I also have a slightly different academic background. I'm trained as an engineer, so I studied a couple of different engineering disciplines, one of which is aerospace engineering. So outside of telling you how AI can ruin your life, I can also tell you the 200 different ways that an airplane can crash. So sleep tight. And that's pretty much it. My outlook on the whole AI question, and it was part of my keynote yesterday as well, is I mean, it's maybe a bit of an occupational hazard at the same time, but we have a very realistic outlook on the use of AI and the adoption in sort of the corporate world. I think it has huge upsides. I also think, without downplaying the downsides, it's also not going to lead to a Terminator scenario or something of the sort. So I think usually, like with any transformative technology, like the way it will develop and the way it will evolve in society, in the corporate world, it's going to be somewhere down the middle, I think.
Thank you very much. And we would like to continue with Andy, sorry, and we give you some time to catch your breath.
Hey guys, my name is Andy. I am one of the co-founders of an SEO agency. We're called Only SEO. Something interesting that I might have also caught some of you yesterday in one of my presentation is that, you know, we're in the era of search everywhere optimization, as I have mentioned, and I think the whole topic of AI as well, just to give my 2 cents, is that it has a lot of advantages, but I think we need to be careful with the way that we use it, because I think there are situations where we are forgetting to do certain things that we used to do, like writing or thinking, because we're getting the AI to do it for us. So it's a very interesting topic, I think, with moderation and limits. Just like anything in life, I think AI is going to be one of those things where you need to regulate yourselves.
Very much, thank you. So Robert, the question is, what would you say about yourself that you think that the audience should know about you?
Yes. Yeah, my name, first of all, is Robert Kopi. I studied my whole life in Germany. I also started with 7 working on computers. I know how to build, I know how to reconstruct all the things. So I studied that also. And yeah, I'm a co-founder of many companies. One of it is building voice agents and non-voice agents. Also custom-built software is doing my other companies. And I started also some months ago teaching also AI and software to B2C, but also I will start it for B2B later in Cyprus and only for Germans. And yeah, I certificate also in university, 5 semesters of IT and machine learning. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we dive into the depth of this, I would like to ask you, Andy, that is there somebody who's taking photos of us or no?
I'm taking a video.
We have 50 cameras, I think, in the field.
Because it would be excellent if we had, footage of what's happening here.
We can ask Andreas to be a photographer.
Thank you. We have, okay. Excellent. So, as the topic for today is the future of work, I would like to ask you first, and maybe we can start with you, Andrea, from that side, that how do you see, what is the foresight for the next 5 years of the job market? What do you think that is going to happen because of AI? Because I think this is a topic that everybody is interested in because we feel that it's going to change our lives. So please go ahead.
Yeah, I think we're living in an interesting time, and as a co-founder, it's interesting to see it from that perspective as well. I think it's a time where people need to reskill themselves and learn how to use AI, because it does make you more efficient. No matter how you see it, there are areas of efficiency that is valuable both to the employee, but also the company, obviously, as a whole. So, what do I see happening with the skill force? I think people who are late to adopt it will not stand out as much as the people who are heavy users of AI. And anything new is scary. A lot of people, including myself, I have a lot of FOMO, I must say, and I am quite, a heavy user of AI, but still, I look at some TikTok videos and Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so behind. There's so much to learn. And the reality is, I think, only less than 1% of the world's population is a real power user. So I think it's very easy to compare ourselves with others when it comes to social media. But I think, as they say, the journey of 100 miles begins with the first step, right? Of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. And I think that's what the workforce needs to do. They need to start somewhere. Take a simple course. Do the free Anthropic courses for Claude that come out. There are multiple, I think, people out there. Always we need to be careful when selecting, what to consume. Not everything we learn out there is correct and appropriate. So we still need to use our critical thinking. But yeah, I think my bottom line is that I think we live in an era where the workforce that does invest their time in learning AI will have an advantage in terms of getting promotions, joining leadership positions, and being champions within their organizations to help others catch up and use AI to its maximum capabilities.
Excellent. It's just one thing that your little comment brought to me that you mentioned critical thinking, which is very important. But the question is that is education, like basic education, preparing children for critical thinking? So okay, we have some critical thinking, but how about the new generation? But that's a different conversation. Okay. So Andreas, please.
Yes, well, we mostly operate with our company in the data industry, which is a specific niche of the IT job market. There's been transformative events before, whether or not the current sort of trends that we're seeing are temporary or not, that remains to be seen. But if history teaches us anything, there's usually like with any new technology that's being adopted or being introduced, there's usually a certain type of shock on the job market. I think the biggest hit for the moment is being taken by entry-level jobs. I do think it is something of a temporary thing. I think it was also in the news yesterday that, for example, Facebook in the last couple of months laid off about 10% of its personnel. They're sort of backtracking on that now already. And we've seen that historically, that's sort of a pattern that occurs and reoccurs amongst especially companies in the technology space. So I do think that the things that we're seeing for the moment will sort of play out in a very similar fashion. As I said before, I think the biggest hits being taken for the moment are entry-level jobs. I think the higher up you are in the hierarchy of seniority and having a certain type of expertise, the less you're prone to feeling those effects. Part of that has to do with the fact that the more specialized you are, the less of an actual market there is. And yeah, I have somewhat of a realistic view on it, because of course we do also operate globally, so it's not just shocks of new technologies being introduced. What we also see, and we'll get to the critical thinking aspect of it later, I think, in the panel. We do see a lot of different trends in different parts of the world. Of course, we're in the West here, right? We're in, let's say, the more European, westernized market. We do see, for example, in Asia, that there's a lot more protectionistic, like regulations that have historically always existed. We do see that those regulations and sort of those mechanisms are being tightened over the last couple of years. Whether or not that has something to do with the introduction of new technologies, I think they're quite decorrelated from one another. That doesn't mean you don't have to take it into account, but there are more variables in play, I think, when it comes to how the job market performs and what it typically looks like at any point in time.
So can we say that there is a lot of volatility on the market? So it means that, you know, things are changing fast. And
when you look at the individual variables that steer the job market, I would say yes, but then of course these effects, they don't all occur at the same time, or they don't peak or do not peak at the same time, so it does single out each other like over time, and then it does also capture some of the shock effects that one particular factor might have on the entire job market versus the other. So it goes up and down a little bit. I do think there's still a lot of opportunities out there, especially for entry-level people, but the way you have to assess it and the way you have to adapt your skill set to it, that is changing. And I do think that is a change that is here to stay.
Thank you very much. Haim, you have a lot of experience in higher education, so
Yeah.
what's your opinion?
Well, first, the job market is going to change, but I would call it reorganization. New jobs will emerge, some jobs will disappear. And in general, what I feel, what I see, what I can deduce from everything that is happening now, I can expect the organization to become flattened. We can expect jobs that can be replaced with AI, which are usually in the execution level, will mostly replaced with AI or AI assistants. Maybe a human in the loop will remain, it depends. And the required skill to remain relevant in most domains would be, in my opinion, the ability to judge judgment between the outcome, identifying risk, someone that is in a higher level of the operation of every company. So this is a domain where humans will be required. Also, it's quite obvious that we can say that there is a white collar and a blue collar, so the white collar segment will become smaller for many reasons. And of course, the juniors, entry level, they have difficulty now. I'm not sure that it's a dead end. I don't think. It depends on the individual, if they do what they should do, and there are things I think we're going to talk about it later. Opportunities will emerge, mainly because those that already work for years in a domain, usually most of those people are less flexible for changes, adaptations, self-learning. Usually, not all of them, absolutely not all of them, but most of them. For them to do the adaptation, it would be very similar to the era where the personal computer entered. It would be very difficult for them. So there is a question about them. On the other hand, if you think about juniors or young people, one door is closed, another door is open. It's a well-known statement. I mean, there are going to be lots of opportunities for young people as well. So if there are people in the audience doing the first steps, so the coming year or 2, 3 will be more difficult, but if you put yourself in the right direction, and we will talk about it later, opportunities will emerge.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Robert?
Yes, I'm very excited, but also I'm a bit afraid, so may you repeat the question again?
Sure, no problem. So the question was that, so how do you see the job market in the next 5 years? What do you think is going to happen because of AI?
Yes, I believe, as most say, it will be completely new restructured. It's, to be honest, the people who adapt very fast will be the ones who get the right jobs. The other ones will stay in the job, maybe will have to leave someday the job. I think it's, I would say, compared similar to what we had with the dot-com bubble earlier and after. The people who not used a computer until now, they do not have a job. I mean, everyone has now a computer. So I think it will go to this direction. But nowadays it's evolving so fast. So I think also what I would add to what the other said is the skill to adapt very fast as a human needs to be there. Because I think everyone has somehow FOMO, even the developer who are very strongly into it. So this will never change, I think. So, yeah.
Thank you, thank you. In my keynote, I mentioned 3 human skills: curiosity, empathy, and self-awareness. And I'm curious about your, contribution to this. That what do you think? What is this human skill that is needed? And without an order, I would like to, just share if you feel something that is important, other than these 3 that I mentioned.
Should I? I mean, there's a different set of skills that you can typically have when looking for a job. I would say, I think something that we clearly see happening over time is, also coming from a country where there's no statutory difference anymore, for example, between white-collar and blue-collar jobs. I really think the way that is being assessed and the fact that those terms still exist, it's really something of the past relative to what we see in the current regulations. And how the job market evolves, I think it will become more competence-based. Which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, especially in this part of the world, because most of the economies here, including one in Cyprus and let's say all EU member states, they're not emerging anymore. Therefore, a lot of the economies are transforming themselves into more knowledge-driven economies. And of course, that is undeniably correlated to sort of a competence-based job market system. And then, of course, my typical advice would be just to develop both your hard and soft skills at the same time and do it at your own pace, of course, evidently, and make sure that matches and evolves towards something that could match any potential job opportunity that you could find.
Yeah, I can add something to what Andreas just said. I completely agree. I think probably the most important skill that I look for right now in the era of AI is the skill of self-learning and being proactive. And we just went through a hiring process just recently, looking for a new performance manager to join our team. And I think, beyond the typical, do they have the right personality, are they a good fit for the rest of the team, etc., etc., I think the ability to self-learn is going to be one of the most critical, because the technology is moving so fast. Companies don't even have the time to do structured trainings and learnings and processes. So I think it fits very well with the curiosity element, because if you're naturally curious, you're also going to go into the self-learning rabbit hole and, spend your weekends up until 5 a.m. prompting Claude, and then, you're in my case, my wife looking to see where the hell I am in the middle of the night, and I'm just busy vibe coding new software. So I think, it's very interesting. But yeah, I would say I think this skill is probably going to be one of the most asked moving forward from employers. I think employers always value proactiveness, but I think they're going to value it even more right now.
You just inspired me with this, because I think self-learning is a very important thing, but I translated it to myself: ambition and discipline. Because you need to be disciplined, and especially young people don't like this word. But I think it's part of it that, yes, you have to motivate yourself, you have to have ambition in order to achieve things, and for this you need discipline as well.
Yeah, and for the greater labor market, it seems to be like a new concept. But for example, in my industry, it is very expertise driven. That's always been the case. So like when I was a student, and I was educated, like my higher education occurred in a time where, for example, there were not a lot of educational programs out there to become a data professional. For example, you had to have a background in engineering or applied math, for example, to at least have some of the skills to start like, your career in the industry. But it was always pointed out to me that like, if you strive for having sort of an expert level career, that this continuous learning process will still happen outside of your education, and even far beyond that. So it is a lifelong learning process. So to me, that's not a real new concept, but what we do see is that idea and the competitive edge that it does give you, that is starting to become a widespread idea in the greater labor market. And we do see that some people are struggling with it simply because it was never like taught to them in the same fashion, or they never really needed it. Because, and especially in a lot of European like labor markets, it was very well like socially protected. And without getting too political about this evidently, but we start seeing that a lot of these systems are under pressure. Therefore, all of the regulations change, and it is opening up to these like new trends. And so that is as much of a transformative event as the introduction of certain technologies, for example.
Excellent, thank you. Haim, Robert, anything?
Yeah, I would like to add all the things you already said in your presentation. Completely, I agree, and all the things you said. Also, the area where you need the fundamentals, like the mathematical things and the data science things, to start to program on the old way, to understand better the architecture. But I believe nowadays it gets even faster yeah, I mean, you get the knowledge everywhere. It's getting even faster and faster, and it gets also more simple to understand all the equations, all the things. So I think for the future, or for now, for us as human, what is very important to learn and how you skill yourself is, I think, communication. I don't know how to say it in English. Rhetoric, something like that. Yeah. To know more about psychology. Not only the psychology of every human, I mean also your own brain, because the LLMs and all the GPT thing you know as a name is all based on the human brain. It's from the neural networks, so you understand yourself better, you know a bit more about the AI also. So there are some learning algorithms outside. You don't need to know about every algorithm and how they work. So you need to know more about your clarity, what you really want, and I think clarity and psychology, and to know how to communicate with the right people is, for nowadays, I think, very important. It's completely different compared to what it was 10 years ago, I would say, and 5 years ago.
I just want to add one thing. Self-learning, of course, but before that, learning how to learn. In my opinion, the entire education system that was built years ago doesn't fit the new era in which we consume intelligence, paying for tokens. There is no place for learning and memorizing data. What I expect to happen worldwide, or at least for companies, that instead of teaching specific topics, let's start with teaching how to learn, so that every individual will know about the ways so he can build his own methodology for learning, and then practice that and improve, because it's not just about self-learning, it's about self-learning faster than others, because there is always a competition. My kids, every day when I meet them, I ask them, okay, you learned something, tell me that you learned something. I don't care exactly what you learned, I want to know that you learned, because only when you learn, you practice your muscle of learning. I can tell about myself, I'm always in a state of learning. Today, I learned 10 times faster than it was 10 years ago. And now with AI, it's like being on drugs. Not that I know what does it mean, but I imagine that something like that. And then you plug in and you with the AI, anything that you don't understand, you ask. This is the best ever way of learning. Think about it, one-on-one, and it's not just someone. This is AI, so there is someone to supervise. This is an opportunity for everyone worldwide to learn, evolve, and nothing to stop you. And it is up to every individual to take decision. Okay.
Yes, I just completely agree. I just wanted to add, I would also try to teach people more about the mindset and personality. I think this is very important. This is also important not only to know the strategies of learning. I think with the right mindset and personality, you can even increase also that speed very high.
We have only limited time, but we have one more question that I think is very important. And just from the audience, I have one question. Please raise your hand if you have children, like maybe older, like teenagers. Okay. Okay, quite many. So the last question is related to this, because Haim, you also mentioned your children. I'm a happy mother of 4 teenagers at the moment, so we are very much in the process of deciding what to do, what to study, how it's going to be. So the last question is related to this, that what do you think, if you are thinking with the head of an 18-year-old right now, or a parent, what would you suggest? What kind of studies, what kind of academic path should these young people take in order to succeed?
Well, okay, allow me to add to what was already told before. First, of course, self-learning. English, this is the language in which you learn these things. But even before that, take responsibility. It's not the old world where you graduated and then the company took you for a job. It's not about getting a diploma and then someone take you for a job. It doesn't work. The world changed. You need to be a continuous learner, and I would suggest not learning one domain, learn more than one, be flexible. If there is a core domain you focus on, don't skip the fundamentals, because eventually those fundamentals will allow you to learn the advanced topics you learn with AI in your journey when you are required. Human skills, of course, everyone said that. Don't ask what a degree to learn, because there is no such thing getting a degree and then getting a job. That story ended. Ask what a degree might assist you in your never-ending journey of evolvement. Now, when you ask that, you can at the same time answer, maybe this is not the path for you. I mean, as I said before, there are other opportunities out there. Not everyone will be required to judge and take decisions on the higher abstract level of corporates and so on. So ask that question as well.
Thank you. Maybe one more person?
Yes, well, maybe to add to that, in terms of education, well, for example, I don't have children. One of the big reasons why I don't for the moment is because I have the biggest fear of having to deal with teachers, for example. Simply because I remember what it was like when I was in a high school and like dealing with my professors at the time. It was quite, I thought it was already difficult at that time. So I'm not sure how I have a younger brother, it's like 14 and he's in high school. And if I look at his report cards compared to mine, like the level of unnecessary encouragement for like the mediocre grades that he's getting. So yes, sorry, I'm throwing you under the bus, but you know, it blows my mind sometimes. And that doesn't mean that the old times were necessarily better by default, but I mean, there's a big like change in how education is conducted for the moment. What I would emphasize for young people, whether you're in high school or whether you're in university or in a trade school, I would say focus on the fact that it's more of a process, which is continuous. It doesn't have an exact beginning or an exact ending. Whereas, now your degree, whatever program you're following will start at a certain date and ideally end at a certain date. But before that, after that, and during that process will still go on. And then on top of that, I heard you mention something about critical thinking. I don't think that's as much of a problem in this part of the world as it is in other parts of the world, because it's still in our DNA and sort of our long history and traditions that, a lot of the Enlightenment ideas from the 1800s have their roots in this continent. We see that, for example, a lot of Asian countries are behind the curve, the curve on that, for example. But I would say, don't forget about it and really focus on, and I know there's some Americans in the audience, focus on, and it's a concept we don't exactly know in the same way in Europe, but focus on the liberal arts principles of your education as well. Don't necessarily focus on adapting or learning a specific skill in a specific tool or on a specific set of facts that you have to remember. Focus on problem solving and knowing how to solve a problem, even if you don't know all the variables or you are not familiar with the subject matter at hand right from the beginning. So that would be my takeaway. And then a third element, which is more on the soft skill side of things, keep it interesting for yourself, because I do think that is the biggest motivation to keep yourself going. So those would be my takeaways.
Yeah, I would just generally add, look how the Chinese and Americans try to do it. The children starts now with 4 or 5 how to use AI and the importance of it. So everything what we said, just with AI, I think it's a good way.
2 things I want to add. Research shows that students that use AI, about half, AI push them forward, the other half are pushed down. It should be handled with very, very carefully. It doesn't fit always, it should be supervised, be careful. And another thing, you mentioned curiosity, and when I think about it, one of the changes I went through with my kids during the last years was, at the beginning I was thinking, okay, I will read them computing, programming, training and so on, but then I understood that the other way, follow their curiosity and allow them to learn what they want to learn. So if my kid he loves animals, so he's with AI learning about animals because this is what he finds interesting. After a year or 2, it will be something else. Bottom line is ability to learn by himself, evolve, and this is what is important for me, because eventually things are emerged and invented in such a speed that is only growing. So the ability to learn, as we have already talked about, is the most important, not knowing specific how to code a program and so on, for instance. So this is much.
Thank you very much. I think we also run out of time, right, Andy? So the questions can follow maybe in the break. So thank you very much for your attention, and thank you very much for being in the panel. And we'll see each other outside. Are there any announcements right now that we need to make?
No, we're just moving on to the next speaker, which I will announce right now. Thank you. Thank you guys.